I may say so, God only knows what the Southern California music scene in the 1960s, what the American music scene would be like today without the music of Brian friggin' Wilson. This was a wonderful movie, a brilliant film, brilliantly structured, amazing performances. Of course, the music was incredible. And this is really, really a special night. Sold out at the Cinerama Dome, right here in Southern California, in Hollywood. Great Q&A tonight. Let's start by bringing out the producer of Love and Mercy, Claire Rudnick Polstein. Producer and director, Bill Pohlad. Giving an Oscar-worthy performance, one half of Brian Wilson of tonight's movie, Paul Dano. Ladies and gentlemen, life comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. Please welcome the musical genius himself, Brian Wilson, and his wife, Melinda Ledbetter. Standing ovation at the Cinerama Dome. That is how we roll in Hollywood. Well, the first question is always kind of a cliche, but you got to start with it, really. Starting with you, Claire and Bill, how did this project come about, and what brought you to direct the film? Because I know originally that wasn't part of your plan.
We had gotten the project from Warner Independent, and they had a script that couldn't really get made, and that had Brian's life but wasn't completely realized, and we were lucky enough to get the option with Brian and Melinda to continue to develop the project. And then when we were looking for producing partners, brought the film to River Road, a Bill's company, who came on board and helped us to find Orrin Moverman to kind of reimagine the script with Bill, and the script that they had come up with was so brilliant. Bill kind of fell in love with it. Was incredibly passionate about it, and then as partners and producers, Bill decided he was something that he was interested in directing, and we were completely on board with that. And then, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, no, I mean, as Claire said, John Wells and Claire brought it to us, and kind of talked about reimagining it a bit into something more intimate, and the idea of not doing the traditional biopic, but trying to take parts of his life and tell that story so that it became a deeper and more intimate portrait of Brian. And during the work with Orrin is when we kind of looked at each other, and it was actually him that suggested that I take the reins and direct it.
Yeah, I've read interviews where you sort of describe the film, and I quote, as a gradual unfolding of Brian and getting his life back. So what was behind the process to have two different actors portray Brian Wilson?
Well, it started with the idea, again, of not wanting to do something traditional, the biopic or whatever. I mean, to reflect Brian's work, I mean, he was breaking so much new ground in his work. If we were going to do a film about Brian, we wanted to kind of, echo that spirit a little bit and carry that spirit with us. So the idea, again, of getting a more intimate portrait, we came up with these two eras that seemed to be able to tell the story. And then the next step was to say, well, those two eras, Brian will be played by two different people, two different actors. And then further
opened yesterday, and there's really only one review that matters. Brian Wilson.
About 19 years ago, my wife and I called up a scriptwriter, and we tried to develop a script, and then we had to turn that because it wasn't good enough, and went on for 19 years trying to get the script developed and ready and supervised. And then I'm not sure when Bill came to us. What year was that?
I lose track of time too, but it's about 3 years ago.
Take it over.
I want to know what you think about it.
Well, after it's been done and produced, directed, I thought it was the most factual movie I've ever seen on a personal basis about me. And so we worked very hard. Bill came through for us all with a great directing. And all I can tell you is I'm very proud of all the actors, especially Paul Dano.
Paul, your performance is beyond extraordinary. It is the soul of this movie. And I have to say, I've seen so many documentaries, especially like The Beach Boys and American Band, about you, Brian, and watching you, Paul, portray him in the studio like a kid in a candy store I was so immersed in your performance, which was a verse unto itself. What kind of preparation did you do to play this man?
Well, thanks. I tried everything I could just to try to chase Brian's spirit around my apartment or around Los Angeles or wherever I was. And really, what it came down to for me was the music. You know, it was not just listening to it and listening to the sessions and hearing the creative spirit in the studio, but learning to play the music, to try to sing it, to learn to sing it. It reminded me of being a kid. Like, kids sing just all the time. Like, kids are always singing. As an adult, I'm not always singing. And something about spending so many months listening to Brian every day, playing and singing Brian every day, I felt like a kid. I mean, the week or two we shot in the studio is probably the most fun I've ever had acting, and I think it's just because the spirit of the music, and my impression is that Brian is his music, and so no matter what I tried, it always just came back to the music, and it was spirit to sort of guide us. So if I just went towards my Brian and John went towards his, it would hopefully, work itself out. But that thing you're talking about, I mean, it's interesting to talk about it in front of Brian, but my impression of it, is that to me, Brian is he's such an open person, and that music, the contact with the music, it's one of those things where art is sometimes bigger than yourself, and I think it's that openness that, lets maybe your child stay with you, but which also makes the highs high and the lows lower because you're that open. And it was a very beautiful place to get to live in for a while.
Well, Claire and Bill, while you were developing the story further, and Brian and Melinda, was there anything that was off limits? Something that you didn't want to put on the screen, or was just all bets were off?
It was pretty simple for Brian and I, because when we decided to do it, we decided that we had to make it truthful, and there really wasn't anything off limits. So Bill was aware of that, and he really respected everything about Brian's life, everything about my life, and he did it in a caring way. So it just turned out perfect.
And Brian, you mentioned you've seen the movie now 4 times. 4 times, and it just opened. The question I have is, when you do watch the film, do you feel like you're almost watching someone else?
Well, when I've watched it 4 times, when I see the movie, I say, that couldn't have been me. I just couldn't have done that, what I did. And I said, you know, all that Bill did to you know, get the movie together, you know, I'm proud of myself because there is a movie made on me. And it makes me happy to know that people can get close to me through the movie and feel what I felt like when I was going through something and share that with me.
I definitely want to ask about, you know, what was it like for you, Melinda, to have the incredibly talented and also extremely successful this year. She's having an amazing year. She directed Pitch Perfect 2. Elizabeth Banks was fantastic. You don't want to mess with Elizabeth Banks as Melinda Ledbetter in this movie.
I think she did an amazing job. We got together once for lunch. It was a long lunch, like a 3-hour lunch. We didn't really talk about Brian. We talked like we'd known each other for years. And I think we're a lot alike. She's really strong. I'm pretty strong as well. And we kind of talked about our kids and like an old friend, and she's become a good friend. So.
Now, Paul, what was it like the first time you met Brian Wilson? How cool was that?
Yeah, I mean, I was, I actually spent several months working on the part before I met Brian. I think not only was I probably nervous, but, you know, I think it was sort of my duty to make sure to try to be focused on the soul or spirit of him, rather than if I met him too soon, I didn't want to try, you know, for mimicry or anything, because I don't think that's what's important about Brian. I think it's, you know, what's inside of him and what's coming out in the music. And I think, as you guys can see, that you know, Brian's got a real presence. I think he has. I think he's got some magic, you know, in his person. And so to come in contact with that, and not only was I a fan beforehand, but I mean, I'm still obsessed. You know, I think Pet Sounds and Smile are 2 of the greatest albums ever made, and there's been nothing like it before or since. And you know, yeah, it's been really special.
Well, I mean, I just, you know, such a, right? Yes, absolutely. My own discovery of the Beach Boys, I went chronologically, you know, with the first albums like Shut Down Volume 2, All Summer Long, and then with side 2 of the Beach Boys today with Please Let Me Wonder and She Knows Me Too Well, where I'm totally geeking out right here, but it's okay. But watching Paul orchestrate, as you, the creation of one of the 2 greatest albums of all time, Pet Sounds. What was it like for you? Like, you feel like wow, how impressed were you by Paul's performance?
Well, I thought I couldn't be, you know, Paul Dano, but I was close enough to him to he approximated me, so I just pretended like I was Paul Dano in the movie. And I felt his vibe when I watched from the audience, and his vibe was really, really, really good, and he's a handsome guy. And no, but it was a thrill for me. Yeah.
Complimented Paul Stewart.
Yeah.
2 words, okay? Eugene Landy, okay? Hero or villain? Some people get that.
Mostly a villain. A hero that he taught me how to exercise and eat good food, but he wasn't the nicest person to be with. You know, I spent 9 years with him in a program in Malibu, and the guy, Paul Giamatti, what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti approximated him so closely that I had to believe that that's actually the real Dr. Landy in the movie. And the way he yelled, the way he took a hamburger out of my hands, and just the way he was very approximated, you know, approximated.
Wow. I mean, so let's talk about the casting of Paul Giamatti. He was superb, creepy, egomaniac, very socially awkward, brilliant performance.
Yeah, I mean, Brian has led a very big life. There's been a lot of highs and lows, and some very difficult, let's say, people in his life. And that was part of the challenge here, was to try to portray some of these people in a reasonable kind of rounded human life. And with Landy, it was a particular challenge, to be honest. I mean, you don't want to just present an arch villain, a one-dimensional character. But to be honest, there weren't a lot of people lining up to say great things about him. So, but you try to get into what motivated him and all that. But it really was difficult, and I think Paul Giamatti kind of was able to bring that dimension to it. I think it would have been a lot tougher sell, so to speak, without somebody of Paul's caliber to kind of pull that.
I thought the cinematography too was great. Robert Yeoman did a superb job, especially during the music video. Now we call it a music video. Back then it was a promotional film for Salute John B. I mean, you had that, you nailed it down.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this was a film, it was a lot of fun to produce and to work on. There were a lot of great things that we did, and Paul alluded to before. The first 2 weeks of the shoot we spent in the actual studio that Brian recorded Pet Sounds in, and we recreated those kind of seminal moments in popular music, and it was just so magical. We hired real musicians instead of actors to play the role of the wrecking crew, and Paul just went in and channeled Brian and basically worked them as Brian would in a day. And we had two 16mm cameras, Bob hand holding one of them and Casey Hutchins the other, and just recorded it like a documentary would be shot. So things like that were just, the whole film was infused with that kind of magic, which I do kind of credit Brian and Melinda with, that kind of spirit coming through.
I'd like to open up to the audience if you have questions. I get to the audience. I do have one question. Has Mike Buck seen this movie?
I don't believe he has.
No, he hasn't seen it.
And yeah, again, that was another situation where, Mike's been portrayed in the media often very negatively, but you don't want to kind of create that one-dimensional thing. You could see, we're here to celebrate, and to a large degree the film is about celebrating Brian's creativity, and Mike was just a human being on the other side of the scale who kind of had a gig going, didn't really want to, for whatever reason, he didn't want to go off and explore the territory that Brian was interested in.
One more question, then I'll definitely get to the audience here. For Brian, back in the day when, between 62 and 66, I mean, the Beach Boys came out with like 10 albums. I mean, it takes 4 years for a band to come out with one album these days. But what was it like when you would hear Rubber Soul and you did Pet Sounds, and then you heard that the Beatles were so impressed by Pet Sounds that they'd go ahead and answer that call with Sgt. Pepper. What was that collaboration, that competitive rivalry like with the other bands?
Well, I don't believe it was competitive. I think it was a mutual admiration thing. And I heard Rubber Soul one night, with my friends, and it blew me away so much that I went to my piano and I cranked out God Only Knows in 45 minutes. It was like an unbelievable experience. And then, of course, they cranked out Sgt. Pepper, which blew my mind too. And then Sgt. Pepper cranked out our Smile sessions, which we put on the shelf for 38 years. And finally, we finished it in 2004 and premiered it in London at the Royal Festival Hall.
Put them together in different ways and created a score that's original to Atticus, but it's actually 90% Brian, so it's a great mix. But yeah, the whole sound thing was a huge element from the beginning. We had a great sound mixer, Chris Jenkins, who you've probably seen in credits on a lot of other films, and just this group that came together a lot in honor of Brian, just did everything they could to kind of bring that to the experience.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, you, sir. Frank.
I was just going to say that I went and saw you in Honolulu when you played in the 25th anniversary show. I'm friends with the Fabulous Thunderbirds, and they joined you. And I was wondering if it was possible if I could get an autograph of the Pet Sounds DVD and possibly a picture with you. You're my hero.
Come up here.
Everyone else stay seated. Well, this is a moment here, okay? I'll take a picture. I can't do that. All right, okay. All right. Back to the Q&A. He's got a question right there. Yes, nice and loud, please.
Hi, thanks Brian for giving us the sound of Southern California. I'm a gigantic fan. But Bill, I wanted to ask, that last sequence in the end with the lap dissolves between the young Brian and the older Brian. Speaking of Kubrick with the sound design, it really reminded me a lot of 2001 towards the end there. I was wondering if that was an influence or if you could talk
The question is, how much was the end of 2001: Space Odyssey an influence for you at the end of this movie?
Yeah, it'd be silly not to admit that it was somewhat of an influence, but it actually came organically too. Certainly, the bed motif, certainly a big part of Brian's life and a difficult part for him. So that would play into it, and it also came from, our struggle with the end of the film. Again, when you're making a film about a real person, you don't want to kind of use the typical, with all due respect, Hollywood outs or whatever. Some big confrontation between Brian and Landy or something that didn't actually happen. So instead, to resolve the film, we thought about, like shifting the perspective from Melinda's point of view, which that part of the film generally had been, to Brian's point of view, Brian Fuchs's point of view, John Cusack's role, and to allow him to kind of come to some resolution, some peace with everything that he had been through, whether it be his father, Landy, the Beach Boys, everything, and using "Till I Die" as being, these things I'll be until I die. You're just accepting it all and moving on with your life, and that was the point where he was able to kind of move toward Melinda. So that was where it came from.
Yeah, right here, you.
Oh, I just wanted to say, one time I was lucky enough to be a guest in Brian Wilson's house, and I wanted to commend the authenticity of, from the dog Banana to the swimming pool and everybody else. And it's really great to see him and Melinda together and being so happy.
Very nice. Thank you. Who has a question? Yes, you, man. Was the cut that was shown in Toronto different from the cut that we just saw just now?
Actually, it wasn't, or it isn't different. The only change, actually, is the addition of the song that Brian wrote for the movie. At the time, that song, Brian hadn't fully, put it together, and so we didn't have it in the movie at that time. So we added that in a couple different places, including the end credits. I think everybody was just, Melinda, you tell her.
Yeah, we were interested if you could sing. And so Darian was the guy to find out.
Yeah, and that was very nerve-wracking because Darian was coming out to sort of help me, and then they were going to send something. I was like, oh my God, Brian Wilson's going to hear me singing the song. And I hope it was great. I worked for a long time, listening, trying to learn the piano for it, and then just trying to sing every day to sort of stretch out, my voice. And luckily, I did get to do a bunch of singing in the film, and that was like, such a gift. I mean, I miss it. I miss playing and singing those songs every day. It was so fun. But I think before we even started filming, we had to film the scene where I play and sing "Surf's Up," and that is a tough song. I'd never done it in front of anybody, and we had the crew there, and it was a pre-production day. I was so nervous, and then I got to sit there and play and sing Surf's Up for probably a couple hours and move the camera to a few different places. And you could sort of feel like the energy in the room change because we were in the actual studio there, East West over here, and some, you know, something about, yeah, playing and performing that song in that studio is one of the first things to do. Something started to happen, yeah.
Just another little addition. The next night after what Paul's talking about, you know, all the department heads and a big part of the crew came in to watch dailies, and everybody sat there completely silent for 45 minutes while Paul sang Surf's Up over and over. It was really an amazing kind of magical experience, really great.
Well, this night has really given me excitations, but we have time for one more question. So let's make a real good one. Yes, you, sir.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations to everyone. I've never seen a film that so captured the artistic process of creativity. I mean, the scenes with Paul in the studio, which I'm sure, you know, everything I'd ever read said Brian was going here a half beat slow here and played the cellos like a machine gun. I think it was amazing. So congratulations, Bill, Claire, Paul, your performance was just beyond praise. And yes, and I'm getting to Brian. And Melinda, thank you for being his guardian angel.
Well, thank you.
But Brian, as the movie points out, and as we all know, Smile was, you know, something that was the unmaking of this incredible streak you were on. And now it's come out, and frankly, I feel, and I know a lot of people feel, that if it come out in '67, it would have blown Sgt. Pepper.
Well, how did you like the Smile album?
It's a masterpiece. I think it's the most complex album.
And Pet Sounds, how did you like Pet Sounds?
Well, I mean, but Smile for me is the one.
Right.
That is a masterpiece.
Thank you.
And I just wonder, how do you feel about it coming out and
Well, I feel proud, you know, proud. We all worked very hard, and I'm very proud of everybody that, you know, that went into this movie together, and, you know, something good's going to come out of this movie. I don't know what, but something good's going to come out of this movie sometime when people come and finally see it.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't it be nice if you went on social media, you went on Facebook, you went on Twitter, you went on Instagram, maybe even MySpace if you're still using it, and hashtag Love and Mercy for everyone to see the film. It is in theaters now. Thank you so much for these good vibrations, everybody.